Mark Halperin's a political analyst and editor-in-chief of Two Way and host of Next Up with Mark Halperin. So this book, wow, they're calling it the griftiest thing in D.C., and that's saying a lot.
It's like our own special fall soiree that's going to be coming up when it comes out. I mean, the reaction across the board is shock for the reasons you said. How did she write it so quickly? Who's going to buy it? And what is someone who was identified as a defender of a Democratic president in a couple months suddenly decides she's an independent? So I would say so far, more questions than answers.
Here's Stephen A. Smith on Binder's quote-unquote transition. Watch.
What the hell you go on the show for then? Bloviating about Joe Biden and how he was alert and he was spry and he was a great commander-in-chief and he was sharp and all of this stuff. You didn't have to do that, but you chose to. Live with your decisions. Live with your decisions.
I mean, she just went on The View like a month ago and said Joe Biden was great. And then a month later, she's writing a tell-all that said the Biden White House was broken and she switched parties.
Well, look, based on what they said about what she wrote, I don't know that she's going to say anything different about Joe Biden. I think she may try to settle some scores and reveal some maneuvers by the people who didn't like her in that job and who, in some cases, played a role in forcing Joe Biden out. So it seems like she's not going to say Joe Biden wasn't up to it. She's going to say there was basically a coup, which will be an interesting perspective from someone who is, I'd say, most famous for saying when Joe Biden spoke to a dead congresswoman, he did it because the congresswoman was top of mind.
What do you feel about these officials? This is the first official of the Biden White House to really come out and write a tell-all book. How do you feel about that?
Well, look, as a journalist and someone who loves history and writing, I'm all for people telling the true story. I've done maybe as much reporting as anybody during this 3-week period from the debate through Joe Biden's withdrawal. There's still a lot we don't know. And so I hope she adds that historical record. Amazingly, the officials who are identified in the Tapper-Thompson book as being involved with the attempt to cover up, I don't call it a cover-up because there was nothing to cover up. It was all on C-SPAN and Fox News. Those officials haven't reacted. Now, I haven't seen them quoted anywhere explaining their position. Now, as you know, some Republicans in Congress would like them to come up and testify. And if that happens, maybe we'll get more of the truth. But I'm all for her adding to the historical record. But if she doesn't acknowledge what everybody in America saw in real time about Joe Biden's decline, I think it's going to be difficult for her to argue that this book's got credibility.
Yeah, well, she better acknowledge it, and she better come on Jesse Watters Primetime, because I will treat her with the utmost respect. This $20 million project, they're calling it SAM, Speaking with Men. The big revelation was that men feel invisible in the Democratic Party and Republicans are stronger and Democrats are weak. Is that $20 million?
You and I need to do like a Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid thing and go see if we can fleece Democratic donors out of tens of millions as well.
I'll split
because
20 million
apparently
with you.
It doesn't take, yeah, it apparently doesn't take much to separate them from their money. Look, it's true that you can't solve a problem until you acknowledge you have one. And yes, the Democrats do have a problem with men, although they have a problem with younger voters, black voters, Hispanic voters, et cetera. But these revelations about how to deal with their problem are quite striking because, again, as you pointed out, you could find them on display pretty much anywhere, talking to any guy. And, you know, you could probably buy a guy a $20 hamburger and get the same information.
Isn't the bigger story, though, they're still getting fleeced? I mean, this is an abortionist. This is a Media Matters hack who just stole $20 million from the Democrats and gave them nothing. That basically, that's worse than not being able to appeal to men. That just means you're going to let the country get fleeced.
Yeah, here's what I'd compare it to. When I was a boy, I grew up in Maryland, a big fan of the University of Maryland basketball team, and the school decided they needed a new logo. And they spent, it wasn't quite 20 million, but they spent several million. And what they got back was somebody came up with the idea of a letter M. Very similar concept. You pay $20 million to find out you got a problem with men, yeah, it's probably not worth quite that much.
I mean, I kind of like the Terrapins, but that's just me. I don't like change.
Yeah.
Mark Halperin, great to see you. Thank you so much. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.